Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. Hope y'all are having a fantastic Friday. I am Y2 Sky. I am joined by Xenocat on Restream, Zaldi pushing the buttons, and to my right, my co-commentator, Vitasia. How you doing tonight?
Really looking forward to this matchup. We have two fantastic runners, both Guerin and Eizan. Been in the community now for a little while. Very, both members of, I think, Restream teams at different points in time. So, really, this is one of those matches that I circled when I was looking at the brackets, going, "Yeah, I want to tune in for this one."
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Garen's kind of a newcomer to the bracket scene, so GG for him on the qualifier run. Eisen kind of a perennial contender, though, entering a lot of past tournaments, but as this format's shown us and the previous races in the brackets have shown us, that's not mattering that much this flag set.
Absolutely not. This is an interesting set of flags where, we've seen, previous tournament champions just on the outside of the top 32 looking in. And then you have, some new runners who are certainly making it in. So it's been really fun and interesting to see the different ways that people are running this. The Omni flag has really kind of altered the power curve, and it's made a lot of veteran runners kind of have to recalibrate and recalculate things. But those people who have got it down have really gotten it down. So this should be a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, the Omnidextrous flags really lends itself to kind of almost a linear
Early game, mid game, and late game. So you have to be aware of lots of different things. There's certain flags that certainly lend itself to a more almost vanilla experience. For example, knowing that it's a required hook route dive that everyone has to go through certainly makes for an interesting early game, because as soon as you get the hook, it's like, do you keep looking for items? It certainly guarantees that, if you see the darkness crystal, for example, early on, that magma key, which is an objective, is going to be guaranteed to be underground as opposed to up on the moon somewhere. So lots of different nuances and subtleties with this flag set in terms of the routing and the seed logic. It's made for some really entertaining asyncs, early on before the top runs, and now that we're in the top 32, has really made for some great week one action. And it does look like we have a starting Rosa. How does that change? Because our starting character has always been either Rosa or Porum. There's some variation there in terms of what you end up doing based on who your starting character is, isn't there?
Yeah, just a little bit. So Rosa, as we know, does not get the exit spell until you go up the Tower of Zot and complete that. So out of the gate, you don't have a character that can really cast exit. So it kind of discourages those earlier Twin Heart plays, may even fade Antlion early on. And then if you happen to not run into Porum, Cecil, or Fu, and that's happened before, you could end up in a situation where you're staring down going to the LST and you don't have a source of exit. So sometimes runners have combated that by working in a little bit of shopping, maybe looking for exits. But we'll see what our runners do as they are off.
Very interesting. So we have a Palom to start with an Ice Brain and a Blizzard to start. So that's an interesting starting kit. You do like to see a Black Mage at any point in time. That's your sweeper option immediately. Really enables, depending on how you set things up, being able to do those checks in the Sylph Cave much, much quicker than you could normally have to manually enter a bunch of inputs into. So we'll see, but I really like this start right now.
Yeah, starting Ice Raid and Blizzard, as long as we find some other defensive gear to kind of shield against the melee attacks, lend itself also to an early Flame Dog check with K-Trap on also. But here we see our de facto standard Eblon Castle loot play.
Absolutely. And Chad also pointing out, as we see kind of simultaneous entrance into the castle, we have one of the things that is highlighted is that silent staff as well. That was part of the opening kit. Silent staff makes it an ogre killer staff because it does attack mages, and those ogres are, in addition to a giant type, are also a mage type. So certainly makes it very attractive and something to kill those mad ogres with. We did also see a power staff, and I've seen at least a couple dragon whips already. This is really kind of an impressive opening salvo here in this Castle Eblin.
Yeah, impressive on offense, but you really need the defense to make the play against these trap chests very early. I don't hate it if you get the opportunity, especially where Rosa and Palom are pretty much two of the top characters you want gaining as much XP as possible. But without really much more than a samurai armor, I think I saw, we really want to see stuff like a rune ring or maybe a shield or two to really make it safer.
Yeah, probably not going to be opening any of the trap chests here, which is perfectly fine. However, you mentioned it and alluded to it a little bit. Those that ice brand and blizzard spear certainly enables maybe this flame dog check relatively early. We do have to check bedward at some point, and being able to combo that in pretty early does become attractive.
But as of right now, it looks like Guerin is prepping for Baron Inn. Okay, so we got a couple pieces of Dragoon armor, so not terrible on defense for Baron Inn. Could be interesting depending on what's there. Meanwhile, I think Eizan's prepping for a character check on Mount Hobbs.
Interesting that we have Rosa equipping a couple of staffs, and we have Iridia also available. Oh, there's a poison axe as well. That's also ogre killing gear. But more importantly, that was also a black belt. Definitely different equipment loadouts on our Rosa. Eizan going with double staffs. Guerin opting for a couple of the elemental spears. And Eizan just with, hey, there's a duplicate Rosa up on Mount Hobbs. Does opt to say, hey, I at least want the experience here.
Yeah, this starting party, you do want the experience. Turns on Palom's level 2 elementals. Rosa's HP starts increasing a little bit. You really want Rosa to get towards the 300 or 400 mark to start taking those Eblon traps. So not a bad play here by Eizan, even despite the duplicate character.
Meanwhile, Guerin's in a bit of a tough spot. Double charmed. Both characters charmed by Sandy. Sandy making this, what is normally a pretty trivial early fight, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, we get a straight reset because I don't think Sandy has any melee attacks in her script. So, yeah, you're going to be waiting a while on that one.
So Guerin does reset out. Meanwhile, Eizan still working a little bit on Antline. Antline is taking a little bit of time here, but does get through it. This was simply a play to get some level 4 spells on Palom, I'm convinced. Just make him a little bit more useful than having to swing anything.
Yep, definitely the play there. Eizan is through. All right, meanwhile, this time the sisters decided to go in the correct order, and Palom got taken out, as well as now Mindy's back for round 2.
Got that silent staff equipped. We mentioned it's great on mages, and the sisters are mages.
All right, now we should be okay against Charm. We gotta get past the Delta attack stage, and there we go. The reflected wall. Yep, can't charm now.
Thanks for the wall. We appreciate you.
Meanwhile, Eizan headed down Antline Cave looking for some more of those early checks, looking for that hook. Obviously, that's the first thing we're looking for, but then definitely where we want a little bit more power. I would be happy to see a spoon. Maybe even a pink tail. I don't know. Oh, unfortunately, Palom falling victim to if you use Lilith Rod on the undead, that's a little painful.
Magus Sisters into elements, meanwhile, on Guerin's side. And with those elemental spears, Guerin does get through that. Although, yeah, Eizan did reset out. Just an Odin and a Rydia. So, very mage heavy party up to this point in time. Rosa, Palom, and Rydia. Although, once you have a Palom and you have any magic, Rydia kind of becomes superfluous here, especially in this flag set. I wouldn't be surprised if Rydia ends up being our dedicated anchor.
Yeah, it's pretty good if you, especially since we haven't found any agility boosting gear. You're going to want an anchor like Rydia to go down the hook route. That's starting, I think it's 3 or 4 agility at level 1. If you can keep Rydia at that base level, Rosa and Palom's base agility should be enough to be RA1 with a few more levels. This time Eizan using the Cure 2 strats on the D-Lunars. Pretty good. Deals a good amount of damage at this antline spot without triggering their counter wall virus script.
All right, and Eizan is rewarded with a looter staff. So another nice piece of equipment, of course, but not exactly what we're looking for. So not uncommon, of course. We've only been to a couple spots in Baron Inn and now in the Antlion. Honestly, a little bit of a slow start. We got some decent pieces of gear, but no one really to equip them. And of course, we're armed to the teeth with mages, but not a ton of mage gear either. So really kind of an unusual and, for lack of a better term, slow start for our runners.
Yeah, this gets a little tricky. Now we see the bedward check. I tend to favor this a little bit earlier than the checks we saw, just because, especially with the ice weapons that they were given, this could put you into some power without a whole lot of effort.
Yeah, I particularly like this check as well. Also, in a couple of the practice seeds I've been running, Edward just randomly gives us the Earth Crystal as well, which is a nice combination you can make right over there into the treasury early.
Yep. Don't hate a black belt robe here either. Guerin taking this is a rare peek into the public treasury on this flag set.
Well, let's see. Anything spiked here? Okay, Blizzard, Wizard White.
Wizard Hat's nice because that'll give some undead resistance, so that hedges our bets on skulls.
So far, so good. I really do like that as well. Nothing super outstanding, like a heroine robe, like you want to spike there, but I think the Wizard Hat is probably going to be making quite a bit of difference a little bit later. Meanwhile, Eizan with that ice brand, makes a quick one-shot work of the Flame Dog. Just some Dragoon armor.
More physical defense, but not quite the trump card we want to see. So at this point, if our usual early checks like Baron Inn and Zot and Bedward are coming up empty, what do you like to do in this situation, Vitasia? I tend to go towards, especially with the mage party, I go for full defense. I give up on the pan and I go there for XP. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to try to avoid Fabul defense and do those early checks, first of all. Once I have 3 party members, we have silent staffs, we have a sweeper right now, and we can have someone lay down. I'm on the edge of going back and trying to open those Castle Eblin trap checks, but I'm still not terribly comfortable, so probably Fabul Defense is going to be my go-to.
That's where we see Guerin headed. Let's see if Eizan follows right behind him. Oh, Eizan still hasn't done Baron in yet. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I figured Eizan would end up coming here a little bit better XP setup. And there's an instant. This is my favorite thing about the sisters at this particular location. Just depending on the setup, sometimes someone just auto falls over.
Well, it happens. They were kind of just chilling. Maybe having a nice time, and all of a sudden, hey, here comes the heroes of light, when interrupting you in the middle of dinner or drinks or whatever. So you happen to be a little bit out of whack. It happens.
My headcanon is the sisters were having brunch with Rydia. They were talking, being some of the few magical girls in the entire world. You got to get together for brunch every now and then.
Yeah, I do like me some eggs Benny. All right, so Guerin successfully defends Fabul. What we got, King?
We have ourselves another Dragoon shield. So another Zonk. You don't feel great about it, but at least you got a little bit of experience. So now, here comes the big question. I mean, Ordeals is a significant time sink. You don't have the levels to be able to kind of sweep through it very, very quickly like you want to. But you're maybe not terribly comfortable with the equipment and the levels that you have to be able to do the Eblin trap chests quickly. What do you end up doing? It's a coin flip right now, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a configuration where I feel comfortable taking on Mad Ogres. I have Ice Gear. And Wizard Hat. You maybe could get away with doing the Staleman Skull to get those levels to feel a little more comfortable, and then turn around and exploit the Ogre weakness with Poison Axe or Silent Staff. You can chance it. I don't hate going up Ordeals either, because the Ordeals experience gives Palom Virus. So yeah, I think Ordeals is a safe play, which we see Eizan doing. But then yeah, you could also make this gamble as well. And I like what both runners are doing here. I think they're playing to where they feel they need to be.
Yep, so we do see some divergence here. Eizan is setting things up to go up Mount Ordeals, but Guerin is saying, hey, I can do this, as Rosa swings and doesn't quite get the kill on the Black Cats.
Yeah, the Black Cats are that's the tougher spot right now. Yeah, I would like a few more levels before I take this one on.
I'm a little surprised that we're opting to keep the Fire Staff on Rosa, or the Fire Flame Spear, because it's got lower attack power, lower accuracy than even, say, the Ice Brand.
Yeah, there's really no elemental weakness or resistance here that I'm aware of to take advantage of. Meanwhile, speaking of elemental weakness, Eizan just one-shots Ruby with Ice Tooth and Palom.
Glorious. So Guerin does get through, and there's our hook. So the answer is in Castle Eblin. On our way to do the Mad Ogres, and gotta be equipping the Silent Staff from someone.
Yeah, I gotta be feeling pretty good after getting through that chest. So yeah, keep it rolling. Get some more XP. Get Palom to Quake. Unless the ogres are just going to be completely mean to him.
They were pretty mean. All three attacked, but he managed to live. That was... he took those hits like a champ.
Yeah, this is where I like putting those shields on somebody like Palom, because Palom's not going to be casting against those Mad Ogres, so even taking just a few seconds to menu and put those shields on him to kind of guarantee living through this fight, it's a little bit more what I tend to go for. Meanwhile, Eizan's got a free fight over on Ordeal's back attack.
Just some Artemis arrows and the Mad Ogre chest. So we do still have the Staleman Skulk chest, which I think we can all agree is the most dangerous check in Castle Ebland. Whenever you're trying to get everything set up, just because you need some sort of sweeper. Now, Palom is certainly capable of it, but that Staleman, I cannot tell you how many times that Staleman has gotten a cheeky shot on someone and put them to sleep, and that just ruins your day.
Yeah, I didn't see Guerin put the ice weapon on Rosa, so this might not do... Oh, yeah, he did. Okay.
Okay, so there is a heroine robe from Mount Ordeals. So, great piece of equipment, but something that you don't feel great about.
That doesn't feel great, but I don't know. At this point in the seed, I would do like Eizan's doing. I would fight for it. I would walk it out. Just the way the seed's going, and that is the piece of gear that I have been desperate for since the run started. And yeah, there it is.
Absolutely. Let's see what heroine. It's plus 15, correct, to strength, vitality, agility. Now it's minus 15 to wisdom and willpower. Or is it 10? It's 10 or 15. It's a lot. It's a lot of stats, is what it is.
Yeah, still okay on occasionally on white mages like Rosa, especially early on when most of your casts you're casting stuff like Berserker Blink that are only really worried about the accuracy. And even then, there's only certain points in the stat curve where that is a problem. So, by and large, a heroine robe Rosa is a good thing to have in the early game.
Well, and with Omni, heroine robe anyone, because it's just a fantastic piece of gear. In the meantime, Guerin does find. I mean, in addition to the hook, that Staleman Skull chest gave us the Baron key. Now, Baron is kind of an interesting check. There's 3 bosses, one of which we know about right off the bat. But there's 2 other bosses that are hidden and 1 key item. That key item, though, comes with, you're looking at a number of cutscenes that you have to wait through. I'm so sorry about that. Lots of, I don't know, it's just a weird check, and one that a lot of people I've seen avoid.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I mentioned at the start of the race, where a lot of times the routing and the slower checks really have a big impact. So they have to pay out, or you're really putting yourself behind the curve as far as your progress versus your opponent in the race. So yeah, Baron is probably my favorite check to fade in this format for that reason.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of doing Baron at all. It's one of those plays that I think is primed for if you think that you are behind in any capacity. It's one that is very easy for your opponent to say, there's too many cutscenes to do, so I'm going to skip it. But if you feel behind, it's a prime candidate to go ahead and do, because if you hit on it, then you know that your opponent may not be doing it for a long while.
All right, Guerin also walking out the lunar staff. I don't know. I would probably have reset there. At this point, you're kind of going. You have the hook. You're probably going down Antlion Cave, looking for a pan or a rat tail or a spoon, or just any other objective key item. Yeah. Sometimes a lunar staff is a lunar staff.
Meanwhile, on Eizen's side, looks like Palom, having gone up ordeals, Palom does have virus, so set up a little bit easier to do these trap chests. But Guerin has faded ordeals and says it is time. We'll be fading Baron and time to start our quest into the underground.
Yeah, we have a lot more opportunities for gear, so despite the advantage in power on Eizen's side, Guerin may still be able to hold that this kind of a lead for a little while, provided no major hiccups on the hook route.
Oh, and I saw something incredibly juicy there in the defense shop are bandanas. Now, bandanas are +5 strength, +5 vitality, and I consider them absolutely fantastic. If I see, I check this shop as well. If I see bandanas, I'm buying like 9 of them if I can, because that's the default gear that every person with the melee weapon is going to get equipped on them. If I don't have heroin robes and black belts or power shirts, you're getting 3 bandanas on you.
Absolutely. Is Guerin able to pick a few of them up? Arrows and boomerangs aren't really giving us a whole lot of funding, but we pick up enough to make do. We're still going down the hook route with virtually just 2 characters. We've got Rydia, yes, but Rydia's our slow anchor. So that's what I was getting into. I hope we see someone to help, and help has arrived in the form of Sid. Sid gets a lot more love than in past flag sets. Vitasia, why is that?
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Elvin Sorrow, who's in chat, who is the #1 Sid fan, which makes me believe that he personally handcrafted this flag set because Sid is so powerful in it. Sid has kind of a couple advantages right now. With the Omni flag set, it means that he can equip anything with everyone. So as long as your attack growth curve is kind of normal, like most of the other characters. The only advantage that you have to gain levels is your HP growth curve. And Sid's HP growth curve is fantastic. He has some of the best HP in the game. So between that and the ability to equip anything, just like everyone else does, he ends up being kind of one of the #1 characters in this game.
Yeah, the HP pool and also his starting strength and strength curve are among the best in the game. His normal issues with agility are solved by the fact that he can equip any agility boosting gear that you happen to find, whether that's dragon whips or assassin daggers. So his lack of speed has a lot of ways to be mitigated.
Absolutely. And, our Sid's taking a nap right now, although I think Guerin's going to try to get him up. Meanwhile, Eizan, making an interesting play, is going to be doing this Baron check before diving into the Underworld, maybe hoping for another character check. Didn't quite get to see what that was in the Staleman chest. Oh, it was the pan. Oh my goodness, that's a big pickup.
Yep, thanks to Zaldi, our tracker, for getting that button highlighted so we could see. Yeah, pan is a big pickup there. Because now you can do the Sylph chain in one trip. Meanwhile, on Eizen's side, getting back to the Baron play, this does feel like a character push to me. You're not really happy with Rosa Palom. Yeah, we have a heroin robe, not the best weaponry. So I'm definitely not going to fault a runner for making the play here for a character. And if you get a payoff, then that could just catapult you to the race lead.
Absolutely. So Guerin now checking the other Mad Ogre chest. It doesn't look like that Sid's equipped with any sort of defensive gear whatsoever. I know we have it, but just poor Sid there in the front row, just the hits start coming and they don't stop coming.
not turning the chain off of that well-played song reference. Yeah, I can understand that. Not too concerned about it though. Sid starts at level 20, and it's not going to take long to catch up from any deficit in the late game when we're better able to kind of set him up for levels. But the levels on Rosa and Palom, on the other hand, getting to this mid point in the mid game are kind of crucial. So yeah, while you don't really like to see it, it does kind of help. And yeah, is Guerin Castle even randomized? That's a Sid over there as well.
It is a Sid, yeah. And we've seen Eizan does have Quake on our Quake Kid, and Guerin did just pick up Quake from those Mad Ogre chests as well. Also picked up a Leviathan summon, so I don't think that changes the calculus of keeping your Rydia up and down, because you got your sweeper either way, you know, with your Quake Kid or your Rydia. But okay, Eizan, this key item is crucial.
Well, all of our good gear is in slow key item checks. Eizan really needed that. He doesn't know it yet, but he really needed that to pay out, because he's going to discover as he goes down the hook route that's a duplicate Sid. Still playing to one more out on Baron. If the gauntlet's here, then the whole the whole analysis of this play changes.
Oh, so okay, just CPU, you know, at the basement throne, but Guerin is showing us the worst thing ever guarding our way into the underground. We have a Pain Man, and oh my goodness, Pain Man is coming with the pain.
Yes, as a certain office linebacker named Terry Tate once said, the pain train's coming. Oh, 600 points. Can we deal with that with the loadout that we have? I don't think we can.
No, we cannot.
Okay, gotta have our thinking caps on for this one. Yep, battle speed's first thing.
I mean, we need to get some defensive gear on Sid, right? Like, we still haven't seen a whole lot of equipment being thrown on him. Trying to mitigate that damage as best we can.
Yeah, mitigate, and if Rosa's at 637, you know, make use of that lunar staff you walked out of Antlion. Don't use the pots, cast Cure 2 here. Because Rosa with will boosting gear will heal more with Cure 2 than a potion.
This is where Eizan, having done both Baron and Mount Ordeals, this is like the nth degree scenario where I think Eizan doing those things will actually pay off, even though they were zonks and were just a bunch of gear. Might end up paying dividends for Eizan, because he's just going to have more levels on the rest of his characters. Now, his Sid isn't going to be any higher level. You know, after the trap chests, we might have a couple, but I think that might be the only difference.
Yeah, well, levels on Sid can help, because if you can get over enough of the threshold to be able to take multiple hits, but yeah, there we go. So that's a cure. Still only 390. I didn't watch if he put any extra wheel gear on Rosa though. Okay, you might, if you can get another potion off, maybe. Nope. Thought to run buffer just a little too late.
This is going to play havoc on both of them, though. This is it's not going to be easy, and there's something that happens when you're doing these speed runs where you come to the realization that this is going to be the bottleneck. You know, everything is kind of being decided pretty early in the seed. That the first one through this Dark Knight fight is going to have a pretty sizable advantage. So, I mean, we'll see how this ends up playing out.
Yeah, trying to queue it up just before the AI. I like the timing here now. Now, does it heal enough? It's going to be close. It's going to come down to the roll.
I don't think so. He's been rolling over 600. One HP.
1 HP in a dream. There you go. Nice job, Guerin.
Apologies if I blew out anyone's ears right there, but I think that's appropriate.
That's what noise gates are for.
Clip it.
Hope somebody clipped it. Has anybody also seen that? Yeah, we got DKC, but look who we got in the rupee spot. This is it. Xena rolled us a mean hook route.
Thank you, Zeno.
All right, as Guerin starts his demist fight, I am definitely going to watch Eizan's Mad Ogre fight here. See if Sid gets a little bit more HP. 7, yeah, well, still at base, which is also the same pattern that Guerin went, so may not get more. Oh, and I think Guerin went back to battle speed 1 for demist here also, which is not where you want to be.
Looked like Demas was only hitting Rosa for 1 damage as well, so I think this is going to be it may not be exactly trivial, but it will be doable.
Yeah, if Rosa and Palom don't take too much damage, this will come down to just how many turns can you get, being able to queue up your actions quickly. Pretty late in the... Oh, Wake fired off pretty quickly there. Right, meanwhile, Eizan saves up and is about to get the harsh reality of what awaits him in the KQ spot. All right. Oh, Eizan comes in without having healed up, and Sid's at max 923.
Yeah, so Sid's going to be a little bit better, but yeah, you're going to have to do some adjustments here.
Yep, Eizan's going to adjust. Guerin's in a pretty stable demist fight here. Palom rolling for about 4,500 a quake after a couple bluffs, so as long as, I think we have some Ether 2s to get some MP back, so I think Guerin's going to be in good shape. Just a matter of time to get through those cycles. All right, let's see how quickly Eizan can master this DKC fight.
Worth noting, did have Rosa had the heroin robe on, so that was absolutely nerfing her ability to do any sort of healing.
Yeah, a little bit of gear switch, and now healing for 594. So that's a big difference. And now, yeah, just a cure 2 should be. Yeah, Eizan's in good shape here.
Yeah, so Eizan going to be getting through this one a little bit faster than Guerin, I think, on the second fight as opposed to third, fourth for Guerin. So it will be a little bit faster.
Demas should be a little faster for Eizan as well with that gear. So this will be interesting to see. We thought Eizan was kind of digging himself into a hole, going ordeals in Baron. Suddenly could kind of turn the tables here.
Well, Guerin looks like it has the crumble going for Demas right now, so does get through right as Eizan is starting. So first one through, but keep in mind that there's a lot of time that Eizan is able to make up. Eizan has already done the Baron key and already done Mount Ordeals. At some point, I can see Baron is a very popular, like, complete and total fade. If we run into a situation where we're still hunting around for the Fabul gauntlet, like we just haven't seen it, most runners I know will at least check ordeals, and that's, it'll go pretty quick, but it's still a little bit of time investment later. So even though Guerin is first one through, still a lot of things that Eizan has already checked off the list.
Yep, Guerin showing us that a Leviathan awaits at the top of the tower. So not a bad fight there. The magic stat not very strong, so the ice 2s are not really anything to fear, and no physical damage, just a lot of HP to chew through, so you may have to heal from a couple of the big waves. But instead, I think we're going to see a Fey March check first.
Yeah, I like the Fey March check, especially with everything that we have up to this point in time. We're now looking at, looks like we're putting Palom in our top spot, just saying, hey, we'll put a couple of rods on you and wizard staffs. I don't know if we're at an RA1 setup. We have a level 1 Rydia that's down, but if we can get that Quake off in an RA1 setup before these warriors start swinging, this is a nice quick check to be able to do right away.
We should be okay since Rydia is still level 1. Only the base agility of 4, I think. I think we're going to be okay here. 13 on Palom, so that should be plenty. Guerin wants to hedge his bets with HP, which is not a bad idea. Only plus 10 whiz. Wake should get through and one-shot this encounter. It has a hard time doing so at base whiz. Yeah, still doesn't one-shot it.
Little light, yeah. I think we did what we could there and we're at 0 NP now. Luckily, the warriors are not dealing great amounts of damage to the party, so long as we healed up, I think everyone will be able to get through.
Yeah, the Dragoon armor providing some much-needed physical defense there for Palom. Meanwhile, Eizan is through the D-Mist. So I think made up a little bit of ground between those two fights, but not that much. Guerin's already through the warrior's chest and finds the package. I don't think we'll be seeing that anytime.
Another one for the pile, I think, is the best way to think about the package. We do, and the Luca key as well. We are at this point just getting key items to the point of at some point we're going to have 10 and the experience that we get is going to double. I've seen some runners in past seeds try to get up to the 10 key items before they do the self traps, because then your levels are just good and you don't have to worry about doing anything else. Don't know if that's necessarily realistic, especially for the way the seed has played out up to this point in time, but something to at least keep in mind is how close you are to the 10 key items, and package is just getting you a little bit closer.
Guerin doing a little bit of shopping. Traded some unwanted gear in for some rune rings. Definitely like that, especially given that we want Palom to sweep a few more encounters. And yes, please go check those Fey March bosses. Not checking them can sometimes cost you races. Not that I would know anything about that.
That's never happened to anyone ever in the history of Free Enterprise. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Meanwhile, Eizan stopping at one of my favorite places to heal, the Dwarven Pot.
Yeah, and Eizan looks like is going to be checking out, the dwarf shops before taking on dwarf check. Don't know what's going on. Ooh, great seeing that dwarf axe there. Dwarf axe is one of those items that gives negative agility. So in the off chance that our Rydia accidentally starts gaining levels, we can throw that on her, and we're still back to an RA1 setup. So.
And did you see who was jumping behind the wall there? I believe that is named Ha 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 Reset.
I mean, to me, yes. I'm like, no, the character is not worth going through. I'm already dealing with one cutscene. Now I got a cutscene boss. Nah, I'm out.
Eizan's going for it.
I think if you commit to it, I understand and appreciate it. Like, there's a gamble here. You're going to stick to it. And Eizan at least gets a decent setup to skip some of the cutscene.
Yep, Heroine Robe Rosa there. Especially if we can get a Berserk off even before Shadow is done.
Meanwhile, Guerin is doing what I would call the more traditional play. When you have an RA1 setup and a sweeper, beeline it for these trap chests, because they become very quick and you can get some absolutely fantastic pieces of gear which can really ramp things up, in addition to being just 7 different key item checks. I mean, just a crystal sword randomly. That's nice, right?
Yeah, just a crystal sword to ramp things up. That's a beautiful find there for Guerin. Don't hate doing self traps here first either, just for thoroughness. I know we've got the objective at the top of the tower, but we're not close at all to go mode. So I kind of like to play here first, because if you happen into the tower key, you can just be a little more thorough with the tower.
Meanwhile, unfortunately, Golbez, we made a gamble early on to try not to get any star veils up. Unfortunately, that did not work out too well in our favor.
Yeah, the magic at that spot is high. So yeah, when you see the Golbez at Dwarf 1, it's it's not just a different order, it is a completely different fight.
Meanwhile, I did also see a Stardust Rod. Dragoon Lance, okay. Nice.
Sets us up wonderfully for the moon. Yep. Guerin, double check in his loadout before taking on those maul balls. Rune Ring is sufficient protection for Palom. If you can stop one of the status effects of breath, one of them being mute, the Rune Ring prevents mute, so you're good. Some other items that I like as maul ball defense. Headbands prevent the charm status. I think the Zeus gauntlet also prevents mini, if I'm not mistaken. So there's several options there to kind of prevent the breath effect from hitting your sweeper.
Yeah, and just to educate anyone in the audience who doesn't know, for the breath, because it does status effects for literally every, I mean, it's mute, charm, frog, mini, like everything. If you block one of them, you block the entire breath attack. So you don't need to have immunity to everything. You just need to have immunity to one thing.
Fortunately, the dark tree is a little bit rude there. Sometimes you'll get the Quake off, but because there's only 4 party members, with one of them down, the formation of 4 is not going to give you that same kind of buffer window that you normally would to get a Quake off before the monsters act. So yeah, the 5th character can be kind of crucial when you're doing self traps.
All right, and Guerin gets through those, does not get, I mean, gets lots of fantastic gear. Don't want to call that a worthless check. But no key items. In the meantime, Eizan does get through that Golbez, finds an Odin. Oh, Yang.
Yeah, show me the one character we really don't want to see in this flag set. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like a Yang better than an Edward here. At least a Yang has some HP growth and is still useful at Zeromus with Zeromus levels.
Is he though? Is he?
I like him as Zerker number 3 if I have no better option.
I mean, Edward can equip a crystal sword, though, and make use of everything.
Yeah, Edward also dies to the counter nuke every time.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So Yang is in kind of an odd place because he, unlike every other melee swinging party member in Free Enterprise, he doesn't benefit from attack power on gear. So all the reason why you would put an axe or anything on a dual wielding character right now is because you get plus attack power. He doesn't benefit from plus attack power at all. So he can only benefit from the extra stats on gear, which there are plenty of opportunities for him to get plus stats on gear. The unfortunate part is there's not a whole lot of weapons that allow him to do so.
Yeah, Yang can get stats as well as other bonuses from things besides claws. So, dragon whips, mute knives. Yang will still get those bonuses. Eizan happens to have found the legend sword from finally getting through Dwarf Castle. So, the unconventional checks now starting to pay off. So, that is one half of the Forge objective. So. That could be an advantage for Eizan depending on how the rest of the seed plays out.
That could be interesting because you want to see Forge at some point in time. You typically get a pretty decent weapon, and there's the other side of Forge there in the 3rd chest on your way up the tower. So it'll be interesting. Guerin, I mean, we don't have any objectives done yet. We are on our way to defeat the boss of Lower Babel. I think that will be done relatively quickly. Oh no, Eizan accidentally forgot to turn something off. Yep.
Thankfully we can still just run from it. You might remember to a tournament flag set when we had the E can't run flag on, and if you managed to do that, that was a lot bigger problem. Eizan taking the similar approach to Guerin and healing his party up before the warrior's chest. Not sure of his Palom gear situation, but I would imagine it's pretty similar.
Maybe. We'll see. I think there's been a couple other pieces of gear, yeah, just a little bit higher level, maybe can get through it a little bit better.
I appear to have misread the top of the tower. It was not a Leviathan. That's a Mylon flavor. It is Mylon and Friends. That being said, the same fight analysis kind of applies. Mylon in this form will punch every other turn, but most of the stuff done is the lit ones.
And worth pointing out that our Cid is now equipped with Avenger Crystal Sword, so we're just swinging wild and free right now.
Sure, Elvin Sorrow is loving watching this. Get to see Cid go burr. Cecil who?
Cecil, you know what? Cecil is kind of an interesting character in these flags because Dark Knight Cecil certainly has his place as we get a pass for completing the top of tower. That is nice. Dark Knight Cecil can be a sweeper because you just get some good attack power on him and he can sweep through a lot of things in lieu of having the Black Mage. But he has the HP growth of Edward, so while he can swing, he gets knocked over with a stiff breeze. Meanwhile, of course, Paladin Cecil, if you do opt to do Mount Ordeals, it is a bit of a time sink. Does have the HP growth, but then loses his ability to sweep, does gain the ability to exit, which is very, very powerful. So Cecil's still a powerhouse character, both of them, I would say, in this particular flag set. But as the no longer exclusive user of Holy Cutlery, maybe loses a little bit of his sheen.
Yeah, Ordeals to transform him, not really a favorite of runners in this format. But Guerin is done underground and heading back up. Meanwhile, Eizan doing the Toad Lady chest, and Pan Bonk. Probably should see him heading up the tower next to find that adamant rock. Now we'll get to see what Sheila has for us today over on Guerin's side.
I believe we'll see both Sheila 1 and Sheila 2 here. So 2 key item checks.
That was an Earth Hammer, not an Earth Crystal, if my eyes are not playing tricks on me.
That's correct. I like seeing the Earth Hammer. I like seeing something with relatively high attack power and +5 strength. Like, that's a solid endgame weapon for me.
Yep, not a bad pickup, but I don't think it's the pickup Guerin wanted to see. Meanwhile, Guerin retracing some of Eizan's steps, checking Mount Ordeals. On the other hand, I imagine the outcome will be slightly different. I think Guerin will end up resetting out of this heroine robe. Well, remains to be seen, but I think this is mostly a full gauntlet check here.
So our restreamer Xenocat making a solid point. I think we've seen most of the key item checks. The one thing now that we've not seen is that Luca key dive. So I think, yeah, that's kind of our next bottleneck in terms of the path to the moon is probably through the Luca cave.
Yeah, that's kind of the community is kind of split 50-50 on this in my experience. You have some that really like to go make that check, and others that just really fade it just because you can't take advantage of any exit to get out of the sealed cave. You can warp, but it does take some time. I personally like the check because you can see the key item and the boss before you're completely committed to the length of the check. You're just committed to the time in. You only need to take the time out and the time of the fight if it's going to progress you towards your objectives.
I haven't timed it, but I consider like this is the mid game right now, right? Like we haven't gone to the moon yet, but we have gotten into the underworld. I've always viewed like doing the Luca cave check is about equivalent to doing the Mount Ordeals check about this point in time. Like it's a one-way walk. You get up, you check the key item, and you check a boss, and you might reset out. And that's fine because you're only checking things about halfway. Now, if it ends up being something, you gotta walk it out, and yeah, that takes a little bit longer. I think it becomes a little bit more palatable with a couple of black mages that know warp, though. So,
yep. Guerin proved me wrong, not resetting out of the Heron Robe at Ordeals. So the Heron Robe is worth walking down at almost 57 minutes in. Also, yeah, I think when Eizan was heading up Ordeals, John Burkhead actually pointed out in chat, if you end up finding a Cecil like on the lunar dice or probably up the Tower of Zod at this point, that can become your source of exit. We still don't have that yet.
it is rare not to see a source of exit by this point in time. I mean, granted, it's usually a 50-50 whether or not you have it between the Rosa Porum start anyway, but it's not uncommon to see a Fu or a Cecil or even the other white mage to show up by this point in time. I do see that Guerin now is going to be going back through, doing some backtracking, and I think this is the problem with. I mean, Eizan did all of these earlier, so certainly already has the experience. Guerin will be able to get through these much quicker, but this is going to bleed into kind of the straight line edge that Guerin has. We know at this point in time, first one into Luca Cave is going to have a little bit of an edge moving forward.
Yep. And Eizan's through the Mylon fight at the top of the tower, has one objective down, and is walking down, and will very likely have his second completed very shortly. So I'm expecting a Forge to be the next play for Eizan. Which could, now that I think about it, make him more likely. Well, I think it maybe only has that left, if I'm not mistaken, but puts him right there next door to the sealed cave.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Eizan has the only thing that Eizan has not done is done the turn in for the pan. Like, he's gone through and he's done the pan bonk, but I don't think he's gone up to actually turn those in. I got to imagine that's on the agenda maybe before he dives, but maybe even a safety save to say, hey, if nothing's up there, then I'm going to reset out and come back down here quickly.
Yeah,
Eizan didn't do back to stealth. Okay.
Yeah.
That is super interesting because Eizan's now parked here outside of Luca Cave, so appears to be getting ready to dive, and it really that makes sense given the way that Eizan has played this seed up to this point. He's been very thorough, doing every check, doing the Mount Ordeals and doing Guerin much earlier than necessarily required.
Yeah, Eisen's heavily favoring the K main side of the equation here. So we saw before even Evelyn Castle checks, we saw Ordeals and Guerin, and now once underground, Dwarf, and now here. So yeah, this is a clear favoring of K main, and as we know, it's this should pay off because it's the only check that we haven't seen collectively.
I will say I'm a little disappointed we didn't go ahead and turn in that forge, though. Just it can only help you. Like, yeah, it might be scrap, but it's an objective. Might as well get it done. It opens up a really traditionally nice shop for you, and you might get like a Thor hammer out of it.
Could even find heroin robes in the shops, or in the shop. Yeah. So we know this has. I think we know this has to have a progression. But it could come in any form. It could be a chain with a rat tail. It could be a chain with the earth crystal or the twin harp. We're about to find out. It's a straight up darkness crystal. So that puts a lot of key items on or behind the moon.
It really does. It is vanilla darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Meanwhile, Guerin over in Dwarf sees the Golbez and appears to be sticking with it.
Well, I think Guerin has also figured it out at this point. It's like it's either in Dwarf or it's in Luca, because Guerin has checked everything else. Now, Eizan, again, having not done those self checks, the interesting thing is we know that there's a ton of power down there. There's just no. It's all strong weaponry. There's no key items there. So Eizan doesn't necessarily have to do it.
Doesn't have to. Looking at HP pools. I don't know. This could go either way. You can make an argument. Oh, I'd like to go there for a little bit more XP before the moon. Maybe a little bit better weaponry. There's also the school of thought, hey, I've done all these K-main checks, and I have my ticket to the moon. Sylph traps are my fade. Let's go.
It isn't. I mean, I think everyone has to have some fade in this particular flag set. You just have to kind of pick your poison. At the same time, it's an odd fade because you have the perfect RA1 setup and the ideal sweeper. So it's not even a huge time sink per se.
Meanwhile, Guerin just down to Palom at Golbez, gets the Fire 3 off and is through. But now we get to find out our forge. Unfortunately, Kokol does not want the package, he wants the adamant rock. And thank you, Eizan, for validating the seed and looting Kokol's shelf. Hourglass 2s.
And
That's-
Zeus gauntlets.
That's a spicy cockle shop.
Sell everything. Okay, you only get 2 Zeus gauntlets. I don't care. That's plenty. And a tiger claw. I mean, why not?
I mean, you have a Yang. You know, Eizan is really gearing up the Yang, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's Young has been talked down a lot on this particular tournament, and with good reason, because he's just not necessarily set up for success. But Eizan's Yang is really like pretty bulky right now.
Yeah, I do like the setup. You're gonna have Sid, you're gonna have Yang. That's 2 characters. That's 2 berserkers with high HP pools. So I mean, it's pretty much one of the safest Z fights you can ask for.
Right. So, Eizan hasn't even done football defense yet.
Well, we got to make that check first. But heading up top, pretty safe bet at this point that we're gonna fade the self traps completely.
I tend to think so. Now, as we're getting into the late game, I have a question for you now. There is a debate within the community over where do you start as soon as you get the darkness crystal? We have some runners that say, hey, I'm still looking for the Fabul gauntlet, and we still have lots of trap checks. I'm going to do things like I'm going to go check Giant, which has a trap check, and I can peek the boss there just out of habit, and then do hair dryers. Other folks are like, I'm just going to go do my objective and maybe hope to spike the gauntlet there. Some folks dive immediately, deep into the underground to stick with the main lunar checks up there. What's your preference?
So first, I'm definitely Giant. I like Giant first just because you can set yourself up to just hard reset out of it rather than walking back out with no additional cutscene other than the one getting there. And especially now, since we haven't seen Gauntlet, we're definitely going to go peak Elements 1. If somehow Element Spot is ridiculously fast, we could even say, okay, give me the XP and let's peak Giant too. Just to look at those and kind of set myself up to reset back. Then once I'm up on the moon, I've gone back and forth. I have liked altars a little bit more. Yeah, there's been a seed or two where there's been like 2 objective key items in the trap chest. I've seen many more where Ribbon Room or some other altar just has the goods. And especially now where we haven't seen a gauntlet. Yeah, we gotta look at the altars.
Yeah, it seems like there are many seeds that just come down to like, okay, we're looking for Harp, Earth Crystal, Magma Key, and a Gauntlet. So we need 3 out of those 4. And seeming to spike all the key items at this point in time would be difficult. But weirder things have happened for sure.
So Eizan appears to favor the objective. Did we not see a save?
I didn't see a save.
I didn't see a save either. That's
That is a blue
robe.
robe. Oh no! But this is exactly why you check this first. This is the justification for doing it. Now it might end up being a water hag, but
Oh, but if this is the gauntlet and it's no save, it's the
it's
gauntlet.
a gauntlet. Oh my gosh! Here's the interesting thing with the gauntlet being here. There's these King Ryus, and then I think there's the King Ryus that are in this gauntlet set as well. That Dragoon Lance that we got earlier in the poison basement is going to benefit Eizan a whole lot more, or it's going to benefit Guerin a whole lot more because Eizan doesn't have it. And I don't know if we have anyone equipping Dragon Whips over on Eizan's side.
No, and how much you willing to bet Eizan's mentally kicking himself for buying only for buying 2 Zeus gauntlets and not 1 Zeus gauntlet and some hourglasses?
I mean,
It's, I don't know. We seem to be getting through mostly okay. When we get to the red giants and the King Ryus, the fights get a little dicier. So, I'm gonna pose kind of the flip side of the question to you, Vitasia. So now you've hit this. Now you're all of a sudden at 4 out of 6. Does that change? So how does your moon routing change with this new information?
I don't know if it changes. I'm, especially with moon trap treasure chests being in the pool, I am a top-down sort of runner. So, I do the gauntlet, kind of how Guerin's doing it. I do, Cave Bahamut. I do the hair dryers. I tend to do the carry warlock chests on my way down to the Mura altar. I do the red giants, and then I'm opening just things sequentially on the way down and hoping to get the key items on my way down. I have had far too many seeds won because I'm doing the one-off behemoth chest that no one ever checks, and that ends up being a key item.
Guerin here at the Giant. Let's see if Last Arm has anything.
Oh no.
Ooh.
That's one of those you can't reset out of because it might be something.
Yep. That's one of those, I think it's a Mad Max meme. Nope, that's bait.
I mean, yeah. And Guerin says, hey, there's dolls here. Oh, Guerin is gonna take the dolls?
Are we taking that? We're taking the dolls.
I am not hopeful for what is about to happen with this dolls fight. Thank you, Rex Banner, for the raid. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is we're about to see a big doll with a lot of hit points. 2 quakes aren't going to do it either. Yep. Yeah, Guerin's going to cut his losses and head out. That's smart.
Yeah, it's hard to think of anything else, but you gotta warp out. You gotta do something with that. Eizan, meanwhile, finishes the alt gauntlet and says, "Okay, I'm set." Now you're just looking for key items. We need 2 out of 3: Twin Harp, Earth Crystal, Magma Key. Now, if you get the Magma Key, you're still opening treasure chests because it doesn't lead to anything. The real question is going to be, what happens if you get the Twin Harp? Like, do you immediately turn that in, or do you keep opening treasure chests? But Eizan is committed to it. Says, "No, I open this treasure chest. I'm going to stick to my gambles." I think, in general, I think that's a smart way to play any sort of randomizer. If you make a gamble, you kind of got to follow it through. Hedging your bets, especially in a one-on-one race, tends to just give you longer times for no reason.
Just Baron guards at the super cannon.
If this ends up being like the Twin Harp or the Earth Crystal on Guerin's side, it will be massive. If not, this is a significant time sink.
Yeah, Elvinsar made a good point in chat a little bit ago. Guerin could feel behind after that last location, Darkness Crystal, and so could be looking for kind of the off the beaten path play to get the advantage back.
I mean, it's a very heads up sort of thinking because, yeah, when you last location something, you need to make up time somehow. At worst, your opponent is at the same spot that you are. Or at best, he's at the same spot. At worst, you're way behind. So you have to make a gamble, I think.
Yeah, meanwhile, Eizan about to head down the LST. Xenocat making the point. Yeah, sans exit. So here we go. All right, big check coming up for Guerin, though.
Eizan looks like he's going to set up doing bottom up, is foregoing the early checks. Oh.
Oof. Just a sad Ruby. Had a save up top at the whale, though, so gets a few seconds back there.
All right, Eizan at least opening some treasure chests, is set up for this behemoth check with, you know, a Zerking Edge, which is doing about 4,000 a swing.
Yep. I wonder if Eizan has left a save up top, or is intending to leave the save up top, and is now checking kind of the, the middle of the road behemoth and the stuff on the way down. Doesn't play out. You just reset back up top. Meanwhile, Guerin has hair dryers in his sights. Needs to start finding something.
Skipped, yeah. Okay, so Eizan does have the Dragon Whip equipped on his Zerked up Sid, so Bimmy and Jimmy should not be overly difficult.
Sid doing work here today.
The other thing worth noting for Guerin is that Guerin is not going to do Cave Bahamut quite yet. We know that Cave Bahamut is a twofer. Completing Cave Bahamut is the Fabul Gauntlet, so it's entirely possible that... Oh, there's Magnet Key for Eizan.
Not quite go mode.
Not quite go mode.
Not quite. Just need one more. That's about the ideal find, though, because we know Magma's terminal.
Right. So really, what that means is Guerin's going to find that Magma Key, and if he ends up finding, if there's a Twin Hearth relatively early as well, what that means is Guerin might still be checking the boss locations up here, which would be a waste of time if he does.
Eizan's still opening, yeah, it might as well. If you've got the loadout for it, might as well get rid of all the dragons.
Well, it's a holy sword, which is nice. Certainly not a crystal sword, but it does kind of even up that power exchange. That was a trap chest, Eizan. You can do it.
Looks like he thought about it, and I think may now just want to do some of the altars. I don't know. He did a behemoth before. It feels kind of off. Yeah, skipping that one. Yeah. Skipping that one too.
Yeah, he skipped. He only did 3 chests. He did a single behemoth, he did Bimmy and Jimmy, and then he did the double red dragon. So it feels a little bit off, but now our runners are kind of checking things in sync with one another right now. Look at this.
Yeah. I think for Eizan, this is hearkening to that EV style of play where, okay, I got one hit at the LST traps. Now the numbers don't favor the trap chest. Now the numbers favor the altars. So it's a little bit less efficient to make all the checks this way. But I think Eizan's going more for the most, like, evolving with the most likely checks.
It certainly feels like the Monty Hall problem. Like, hey, you're given a prize. It could be behind door number 1, 2, or 3. You know, you choose one. Does probability lock in now or after you've opened a couple checks?
Yeah, I think it's an appeal to the law of averages, so to speak.
That's all Free Enterprise Randomizer is a gigantic Monty Hall problem. And there's
how do you like that? We're kind of we're kind of scratching our head out a little bit, but clearly Eizan knew what he was doing this seed.
Yeah, he had to double check and be like, okay, is this the right thing? Okay, yes, you are in go mode, and now we have to warp out.
Yep. So Guerin now checking the ribbon room. Hasn't checked that chest, hasn't seen the gauntlet at cave value yet. So yeah, how long? I think Guerin at least checks all the altars here.
I think Guerin checks all the altars here. The interesting thing, he could still find it, at which point it becomes a 7 of 7 clear seed. And Eizan doesn't even have to do really much of a grind anyway. He's got 2 melee swingers. Callum does not necessarily know nuke. But, you got 2 melee swingers and Rosa who can survive an unnerfed Big Bang. So, I think we're kind of set.
It's a matter of getting out of the LST for Eizan at this point. All right, Massa
All
altar
right.
check for Guerin. Well, yeah.
That's another scoop of vanilla.
Another scoop. Just keep them coming.
I mean, shout out, Xenocat, our restreamer and the roller of the seed, is an official member of the Vanilla Council. So,
Yep. Well done on this one, Xenocat. And as Eizan heads over to say, well, that's gone, I will give a shout out of thanks to our restreamer Xenocat, who has kind of set us up to put on a fantastic show, does fantastic work behind the scenes. Love everything that she does with the community. Also, thanks to Zaldi for pushing the buttons for us tonight and keeping us straight with all the info. Thank you, Zaldi. And thank you to my co-commentator, Vitasia. Please go give each of them a follow.
do not forget Y2 Sky as well, giving all the credit to everyone else when he has hard carried this commentary team tonight.
If there's one thing I have not done this season, it is hard carried anything.
So a little bit of news. Guerin does find the Twin Harp at Ogopogo at the Massa altar. So Guerin, you're in go mode too. You got the Earth Crystal, buddy. You don't need to do this. Oh wait.
No magma
Yeah.
key.
But he's got to do Cave Bahamut anyway. Like, he knows he has to do Cave Bahamut. He has Earth Crystal. The only thing he's still looking for is maybe Fabul Gauntlet.
Yeah, so he doesn't know that the Fabul Gauntlet is at Bahamut, so that's the issue. Yeah, so see, that's a face check. Just given where he is, we should see Bahamut next, but unfortunately, he also has to walk out.
Oh, Gary needs Gauntlet Magma. Okay.
Yep, Gauntlet and Magma.
Right.
He just doesn't know it's at Cape Bahamut.
That's right, because Magma Key was in the Bahamut or the Behemoth chest, right?
Yes. Oh. Are we? Yep. We have a lot of Z flags.
We do have a lot of Z flags. Does that mean it's bedtime?
When you get to my age, yes. But for the rest of y'all young spring chickens, what do the Z flags mean?
Oh, well, I am glad you asked, even though I am also equally old. So, what do the Z flags mean? So this is Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. We are a randomizer community. We randomize all the things from the Twin Harp song to the different sprites to the bosses. The one thing we cannot randomize is putting Zeromus into the boss pool. Big bangs at the Antlion Cave are no fun, trust me. So what are we to do? Well, once we use the crystal on Zeromus, he shows us his true colors, which end up being one of several hundred different sprites that are curated, of course, by the community at large. So the Z flags are really asking a very simple question from the community, and that is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And is the butt cute or scary? Does it have a hat?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. Like, can it do it your taxes? That's a scary.
That's kind of scary. Astral Demus. Yeah, that one I don't know. That one's kind of. I think I'm losing my free enterprise geek cred here.
I'm right there with you. I have no idea what this is as well. I imagine it's a Xenogears thing, just because there's Breath of Fire 4.
And meanwhile, over on Guerin's side, he is getting the news that he is in go mode. Unfortunately for Guerin, Eizan a little too well leveled up. Shouldn't have too much of a problem with this Zeromus fight. But man, what a seed! This has been a good one.
This has been a fun one. We've seen different twists and turns. We've had fantastic clutch fights coming out of everything, and really lots of vanilla. It's been a very entertaining seed. Eizan is on the road to recovery right now, really set up very well with his party right now. Guerin really has all the keys to victory. Will even be giving us harp music as well. Either ways, just a fantastic seed overall. Well done, Zeno.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah, I definitely enjoyed watching this race. 1 HP in a dream is by far my favorite moment of the seed, though.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a top 5 moment from the tournament, as far as I'm concerned.
Palom even getting in the action on the Eizan side right now.
I think this is going to be the end of Palom's action.
Yeah, Big Bang number 2, that'll do it. But plenty of hit points remaining for Sid and Young to survive that media. Rosa fires off Cure 4. That's pretty much going to decide it for Eizan.
Safety Cure 4 just to fend off against an errant Rocks. We will not be getting Rocks. We have a Crash, Boom, and Bang. And Eizan does complete, looks like finishing the seed in first place directly. GG's to Eizan. Does come out the winner from this race.
Yep, GG Eizan. And if I'm not mistaken, Eizan was also up 1-0 coming into this as well. So this will be the series win for him. 2 games to none, moving on to the round of 16. And we are joined by Eizan. Eizan, GG. Definitely a fantastic seed, full of twists and turns. How you feeling about it right now?
Outside of a few unnecessary deaths, okay.
So talk me through kind of your game plan once you saw who was waiting for you at the King Queen Evelyn spot. How are you prepping for DKC once you figure out he's there?
Just hope I can get Sid to have enough HP to survive.
Survive you did. You got through just on the second attempt, so that didn't take you that long. So talk me through your routing process here, because I haven't seen. This is the first time I've seen a runner so heavily favor K main, and it served you really well tonight. Kind of talk us through your calculus as you're devising your route through this seed.
For the most part, it gave me way too much stuff to do the trap chest and seal. So I was like, that probably ain't gonna work out. So I just decided to, do the toad on the way to doing pan. And then I knew I had a dragon whip, so I knew the dragons up there on the moon would be pretty easy. So I just went with what was along the way.
Gotcha. It definitely paid off for you for sure.
I was going to ask about, because you opened the 3 chests on the way, 1 behemoth check, and then Bimmy and Jimmy, and then the double red dragons. Was it something about those 3 checks in particular that you knew you would just go through? Because it looked like you thought about opening one of those 4th behemoth checks as well, but then decided not to. What was it about those 3?
Nothing. I don't know exactly the 100% the vanilla layout on the moon quite so I didn't know if they were. I know where those 3 were, but other than that, I don't know. I know where the red giants are, but the other 4, I don't really know too well. If that makes any sense.
I mean, it makes sense. You open the ones that you know where they're at, for sure. But yeah, the behemoth, I think, was the one that ended up having the magma key, and then from then on, it was just a couple more checks that got you the levels you needed, and from there it was all gravy. I do think we're going to pause for a second because we do have music coming in on Guerin's side. He did find the twin harp, so DJ Spoony B, kick us off. Okay, well, that was over, pretty quick.
Yep. So Eizan, I think this puts you through to the round of 16. Not sure what the spoiler moratorium is, so I will refrain from mentioning the opponent. But congratulations on making the round of 16. Are you kind of taking any lessons learned or changing up your preparation for next week, or are you kind of sticking to what's working so far?
Nope, I'll just pretty much keep winging it as I go.
Fair enough. Some of the best laid plans have not worked out very well in this flag set, and yours seems to be going well. So, definitely looking forward to continuing watching you race.
These seeds keep on giving me stuff that always changes my mind anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, well, it's time for me to go to sleep, so I'm heading out.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for putting on a good show, Eizan. All right, now we have Guerin over opening the treasury and getting the crystals. So Guerin will be shortly behind here. Very well run race. Just very good moon routing on Eizan's side. That's kind of really the only thing, because both runners kind of stayed in lockstep through the mid game. The only minor divergence, they would quickly retrace each other's steps, but the decision on the moon decided it pretty much dictated the outcome of this race.
Well, and I think Eizan's gamble that nothing was going to be in the poison treasury, I mean, when we mentioned it, and he said, yeah, with the seed, throwing everything that you could possibly do at you, making the strategic gamble that, hey, that's something that I can skip right now. It wasn't, Guerin, last location of the Darkness Crystal, Eizan, last location except for the poison treasury. So that was really the only difference before getting to the moon. Credit to Guerin. I think this was a much closer race than the final time is going to indicate. Guerin, because he last location the moon, obviously did some pretty significant gambles after that. Saw the tower key that he got from the giant, certainly followed that up. So that in that particular instance, I think that was the exact right play to make. It just didn't turn out.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dichotomy when you kind of experience certain things as a runner. Like I definitely know I've lost I've lost at least one race 1v1, as well as fell pretty behind in an async because um, I faded the self traps and they had the goods, and so here tonight, fading the self traps is the right play. So it makes for very entertaining 1v1 races, I will say. Just kind of it's kind of watching both runners, especially if there's divergence in the end game, kind of holding your breath, waiting for the one of the checks to finally pay off.
Yeah, I think from a runner's perspective, and help me out on this one, I think it makes for a much more entertaining 1v1 matchup than the asyncs, because the asyncs, it feels like you had to hit on every single gamble if you're going to try to win an async. But in a one-on-one match, it's just, again, it's about doing the things that your opponent doesn't.
Okay, I think we might be back.
Yeah, we're back. It does look like we have, okay, on Guerin's side, we have a couple of Zerkers in Sid and Rosa. Looks like we have Yang not punching at all, despite his levels right now.
Yeah, I think Yang had levels. I don't recall Guerin equipping him quite as strongly as Eizan did.
Oh, but we did get both Rosa and Palin knocked over.
Yeah, Guerin was only pulling about 9.5 to 10.5k. That's not quite enough to get you past the second Big Bang window.
Yeah.
And then another one, just because of the recovery time. Hold on there, Sid.
I'm worried about a Wombo right now.
I wonder if there's should be agility issues though, because I feel like Guerin picked up a drain spear from the self traps. May not have it equipped.
May not have it, but I think certainly reset back up. Has the HP to get through it, and resurked Rosa. There's rocks.
Oh, Zaldi correcting me. Drain spear from a moon trap, dwarf axis from Dwarf Castle. Okay, yeah. So it's just an agility issue, but despite that, we do have crash boom on Guerin's side, and Guerin has finished. GG to Guerin, and a well fought race here. Final time of 1:45:33 for Guerin. And with that, we are joined by Guerin. Guerin, GG, great run through a topsy-turvy seed. Well played. Just didn't quite go your way. What's kind of going through your mind as the seed's kind of finishing up there?
Well, I mean, I liked my LST play. I avoided actually all the trap checks except for the 2, and only need, 3 out of the altars? I mean, that's not too bad.
Yep. Not bad at all. Yeah, it just seemed to came down to Eizan hitting on the trap chests and kind of checking out that cave value just a little earlier. Other than that, y'all were pretty much in lockstep through the vast majority of the seeds, save for I think Eizan's faded the sylph traps, but both of you got the darkness crystal around the same time. So I asked Eizan this also. As you're getting down the hook route, talk me through that oh heck moment when we see DKC at KQ. Talk me through your strategy and what your game plan is there.
Yeah, well, it says your hope in that case. It's like, okay, he's only going to survive this. It's like, okay, there's no cure 3s. I really don't want to have to go back and grind this. So, battle speed 6. Hope you get lucky with the agility manipulation, get the cure 2s off. Cutting it very close there.
Yeah, we loved the 1 HP in a dream finish here in the booth.
That it's a top 5 moment of the tournament at this point, as far as I'm concerned. It was so cool.
I'm glad you enjoyed then, I guess.
So you like Eizan ended up putting off the Luca key there for a while. Is that a normal fade for you, or just kind of felt like the other checks were a little bit better?
Well, I mean, I figured, Sheila's been very disappointing this whole tournament, but I figured, what are the odds she's going to bust, literally 2 seeds in a row? Because with last seed, she didn't have anything either. It's like, well, okay. With the long check, I don't have, you got to warp out of it, and, it's just a gamble of you fade something or nothing. But, yeah, both that and the dwarf, which were my last 2 checks, they both had something, so... what are you gonna do?
Yep, rando gonna rando indeed.
So we know, I think we discussed it, but the magma key was in the LST and one of the other trap chests as well. I think it was the one. I mean, you didn't open up a ton of trap chests anyway. You didn't necessarily have to, but luckily you ended up finding that twin harp, and we were treated to music. That was the one thing that Eizan ended up fading.
Yeah, which because the way that seed particular ran, I mean, it's like you could. So I think in that case, the biggest blunder on my routing it was taking the giant and wasting time there. I think because it turned out to be a rabbit hole.
Yeah, the tower key definitely could have made or broke you in that instance. Because if the tower key pays off, then that is a huge swing. Talk me through the decision to take the dolls at Element Spot. Were you thinking? Were you looking at kind of the fast fight? Maybe I can luck out and spike the gauntlet at CPU.
That was kind of the thing. You just see what's there at CPU. I mean, it was there the previous seed I ran, so your Quake would probably get through it. It didn't realize, oh, not quite enough there. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But then,
definitely,
of course,
definitely one of those
the tower
things.
key didn't help. So.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those fights you almost have to do it at least once, right? Because it's too tempting there with Palom being able to deal 15,000 damage with one spell.
Yeah, and the dolls aren't all that threatening, but when it was going to become a time sink, it's like, all right, well, if it's there, I'm probably gonna get last location on both sides, so just let it go.
That's about all the questions I have. Vitasia, you got anything else?
No, just GG's on a good race. It was a lot closer than I think the final time led to believe. It was really pretty neck and neck. We understand why you did the giant play, because I think that was the right play to make in the shoes that you were in. Again, in another rando, it plays off.
Because I also know that my opponent didn't check it last seed either and kind of forgot about it, so it's like if it has value, it's a good thing to try.
No, absolutely. And it's when you know your opponent's habits and you And when you last location something, you know that you need to do something to catch up. So makes complete and total sense. But either way, GG's on a good race run.
Yeah, I don't really mind the way I route it. It's just that, rando gonna rando. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's definitely this was definitely just an instance where you got randoed. You ran a fantastic race. You've really ran a fantastic season. Just kind of seeing how you've been doing in the asyncs, and then making brackets here, and then giving Eizan a very good series. So I'm looking forward to watching you race in future tournaments also. So yeah, you definitely have a good reason to keep your head held high and keep practicing, because you ran very, very well this season.
Made brackets. I mean, that's an achievement there. So next season or next tournament, actually win a game at the bracket level.
Hey, I'm right there with you, buddy.
You're ahead of schedule. It took me like 4 years before I made brackets for once I joined the community. So you're well ahead of where I was, man.
It's a fun flag set. I'll give it that much. I've probably run more practice for this one than any other tournament. I think it kind of showed in the end. So.
All right. Thanks again, Guerin, for putting on a show for us, and hope you have a good rest of the night and have fun watching the rest of the games with us this season.
But I can actually go back to comments on the races. So yeah.
All right. Very good. So with that will pretty much wrap up our show here. But the free enterprise continues. We have a race between Judge Joe and JP underway on free enterprise 2, so we will be sending you there very shortly. As always, please refrain from spoiling any of the outcome of this race with our free enterprise 2 viewers, as they may not have they may be waiting to watch this later. Thank you all very much. I am Y2 Sky, joined by Vitasia and Xenocat behind the curtain, and Zaldi pushing the buttons. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you next time.